So, okay, guys, so it's Saturday morning and it had been a big snowstorm in Toronto, GT, Greater Toronto area, and there was like, I think, 30, 25 centimeter snow. So, yeah, I could see from my apartment, lot of cars, buried in the snow. And, all right, so, God, my car is not parked, you know, the top. It's in the basement parking. What am I talking about? Okay, yeah, Microsoft Azure. Let's go for that. And so, okay, so here, let us go ahead and try to. Uh, Now we were talking about storage security, and for storage security, when we created a storage account, we went through explanation of pretty much whatever feature was coming our way, and there's a obviously a lot more insight after the storage account is created. There's a lot more insight as well. So we're gonna start creating a storage account again, but this time I'm not going in great details with all the features because you can then refer to the last video for that. Um, Let us go ahead. So so I was creating a storage account. What was my user account name? Because there are AWS course are going on. Then I'm starting Microsoft 365 soon, which is Exchange Server and Intune, both very criticalist courses. And one is about company emails, and the other one is about uh, handling all the devices remotely for the company and putting all the securities and deploying software or from the cloud to the devices. So we're gonna do all that. So that course is starting Sunday mornings. I'll first put a questionnaire there. How many are interested to join? If there are enough, then I will destroy my Sunday morning as well. Not destroy, I mean start the course. Yeah. Okay. So what was my not biryani, something else? Yeah, it was Jalebi. Okay. So let's see. Jalebi. I'll just quickly log into that. Jalebi or yeah. Where was I? I think I was using Opera browser. I don't know why it seemed like such a long time. Okay, so I'll just log out of everything else so I could log in from there. That's okay. Okay, I'm logged in. Okay, that's good. Maybe for February and the code 788015. 788015. All right. I should not have taken a tea. I should have taken a coffee. Anyway, and when we are very sleepy and tired, or especially me, and then I take even espresso, which is really uh, strong, then I get a very nice sleep after that. Yeah, it's supposed to wake me up actually, keep me awake. Anyway, so now we were talking about. So this is Microsoft Admin Center, and let us go ahead with the rest. So we're gonna go for show all here, and then we're gonna go to why are we here? Okay, sorry. Storage account. Storage account is Microsoft 365. No, Microsoft 365 is this is our all SaaS based, right? Software as a service. So I'm gonna go for uh, infrastructure as a service. So I'm gonna go to Azure. Exactly. Log in the Microsoft endpoint. See, it goes endpoint. Always track the links, the URLs, and draw. No, okay. So I'm gonna go for portal.azure.com. I've uploaded interview questions as well. Interview questions for Azure on my channel. So I'll keep on adding more and keep sharing the link with you. Portal.azure. Maybe I'll start creating a company called Azure. Okay, Azure. Whoever misses A right, types this will come to my site. So I might get millions of views. My mistake. Okay. So here's the jewelry. Okay, first thing is how much, how much has been. Yeah, Zordar.com could be another good site name. So here, first of all, we're gonna visit our um, billing. I'm just gonna go down here to cost management plus billing, and so far so bad. No. I'm just gonna go for invoices, and okay, zero is our hero. Now we got zero. Okay, I'm gonna go back here and excuse me. How my account is having that 1 month free trial. I mean, Microsoft forgot to track me and then tell me that I can only have um, pay as you go. So I always get that. Anyway, I'm gonna go down to storage accounts because we need to talk about the security of the storage accounts here. And for storage accounts, we had created last time a storage account with a lot of options and features there. So I'll just go ahead and click the Create and Add button. So storage accounts here, and and sometimes I wish that I had shifted to a house, but I like apartments because in one building all my relatives decided to stay. So I had to be with them. Otherwise, I would be shoveling right now. Snow. Okay. Anyway, but houses are better, obviously. Okay, guys. So I'm just gonna put that in WhatsApp, and now what we were doing before storage account, obviously that's the main, one of the main services that earns a company a lot, right? So that all corporates always use. That's what I meant. And that's where the vendors or the CSP, cloud service providers, really earn is from the storage account. And the very strange thing is that as AWS evening class, we are talking about storage account there. And but that is just how the storage account really works and all the services in detail. This is about the security of it. Okay, so let's go down here to resource group, and then I hope I don't have, thank God, no existing resource group. I'm going to quickly create one for today. RG and for March G. That's all right. SO and K. Now we have storage account. It's a globally unique name that we need to give. It's going to be honor SA storage account, and today's date is 04 March 2023, and some unique name, right? So yeah, my favorite, Gulab Jamun. Right. So 24 characters, seriously. So okay, I'll just go for G. Remove everything. So G German. Okay. Anyway, so let's go ahead, guys, and yeah, that's another sweet name. Okay. So region East US. Um, yeah, we'll stick to that because um, Microsoft also has. Otherwise, we should be going for data residency policy, which means that our data should stay in our country, right? This is just a mindset that I'm talking about. Not mindset, company policies are strictly implemented like that, that our data should not be, be hosted on in other countries, right? So that is what I'm going to go for Canada Central. Um, and hopefully all the services are there. Canada Central, not East. Where is Canada Central? Right, Canada Central. Okay. And then we were talking about, yeah, this is just a detail of what the services are performance standard, but this is not related to security. We're going to stick to security here and redundancy. Yes. So I'm just going to go ahead with the basic default options here. We talked about that in great detail in our previous course, AZ-104. So required secure transfer. So yeah, we were talking about security related to this storage account. So secure transfer for REST API income operations, and that is that all the applications or any kind of connectivity should be HTTPS, which is SSL, using SSL and not HTTP. So we talked about that in last class as well. I'm just going to go a bit further, a bit faster, but still giving a brief detail about that. Maybe says, please show the previous tab. Um, okay, so this is the previous tab, and so I gave a resource group name and the storage account name. That's and Canada Central. That's it. No changes in performance and redundancy. All right. Next, advanced, and yes, this needs to be always checked because we want, and I'll be downloading a app here, Storage Explorer. From there, we're going to connect at AZ-104. Also, we did that, but just to make sure that we connect. Now enabling public access on containers. Yeah, so that is also the case. Like we can that's nothing to do with security, obviously. So I'm going to go ahead and enable storage account key access. Yes, this is we're going to enable that, but we're going to also use or see the key access there at that time. The storage account key access is disabled. Any requests to the account that are authorized with shared key, including shared access signature SAS, will be denied. Anyway, this is what we're going to try, and it was part of the AZ-104, so I did mention there as well, but we're gonna do that here as well, but a bit more details. Default to Azure Active Directory authorization in the Azure portal. Now this is when this property is enabled, the Azure portal authorizes requests to blobs, very large objects or containers inside the blobs, or no, blobs, which are just big files that you need authorization to. And there's a blob container, and there are different types of containers with, and container is just the folder inside which you can create more files and folders. So queues and tables with Azure Active Directory default. So this is obviously more secure when you are getting authorization from Azure Active Directory. So we're just gonna select that, and then we're gonna explore more options after that selection. Minimum TLS version, so transport layer security, right? Set the minimum TLS version needed in applications using your storage accounts data. So TLS really keeps our data encrypted when in transit. So there is in transit and there is data at rest. Data that is not moving is at rest, and data that is moving is in transit. So the TLS is the 1.2 is the latest version. We our company so Microsoft had started saying that last year that please everyone upgrade to go away from 1.0 TLS version or 1.2 version. So then we had to hire a security company, and then the security expert had to connect to our web servers, and then remove some of the ciphers there and add new ones there, which support stronger security for transport TLS protocol, right? So we had to upgrade to version 1.2. Then permitted scope for copy operators for preview. Now this is not related to security, but restrict copy operations from source storage accounts that are within the same Azure AD tenant or that have a private tenant. Actually, that is related to security, that you want some copy operations to be restricted. Not everyone should be able to copy anything from anywhere. So from storage accounts in the same Azure AD. So from any storage account. So this just says that you can copy from another Microsoft storage account, this storage account that we are about to create, or from storage accounts in the same Azure tenant. So it could be just the same tenant. Suppose I'm creating one storage account, right? I can create here 10 more. So copy operations between them would be allowed or not. Well, if you need more security, don't allow. Otherwise, obviously, we tend to copy pretty much every day from one account to another. It's a storage account within the same tenant. It's within the same company subscription. The from storage accounts that have a private endpoint to the same virtual network. So that is when you have a virtual network, then you can block copying or allow copying. This default is yes from any storage account, from any tenant, from any VNet attached storage account to storage account, you can do copying. Okay, data lake storage, we don't need that service. It's analytical. You upload a lot of data and then it's analytical applications just connect to it. So we don't need that. Blob storage here. Enable SFTP. So it says that if you want a hierarchical, you have to enable hierarchical namespace. Hierarchical namespace just means that you put um, suppose cloudengineersacademy.com, then toronto.cloudengineersacademy.com, then downtown.toronto.engineersacademy. So that's DNS namespace, but hierarchical just means that there's a hierarchy there, and some subfolders and subfolders have proper naming there. So SFTP, if you are uploading some thing from an application with file transfer protocol, there are some, FTP and so SFTP apps. So there are many applications there which are securely transferring or which offer secure file transfer protocol. So this is just a software that lets you upload files on large scale but securely as well, right? So there are so many Turbo FTP, Power FTP, and SFTP client applications. So there are many. So Microsoft says that, oh, you want to upload some files um, from your uh, application, secure applications to storage account. Yes, we support that too. So that's why suppose you want to upload something here, so you can then do that this way. Enable SFTP. Also, enable network file system. So this is NFS. So from Linux machines, if you are uploading something, allow cross-tenant replication. Cross-tenant replication and hierarchical namespace cannot be enabled. So if you have another tenant, so we're working in one tenant here. If you have another one, from there you want to copy something or replicate something, then you can enable that. So from the storage account of another tenant, the storage account of this tenant, which is this one, you can do applications as well. These two options are grayed out. It says these two options are grayed out because it says cross-tenant replication cannot be enabled. So if I uncheck that, then this is enabled and SFTP is then not supported. But when it comes to enable network file system v3 to enable the NFS hierarchical namespace, this does require this, but even when we click that, it doesn't enable. So then we have to talk to the technical support. Then why is it not enabled for our subscription? Maybe it's a free trial, that's why it's not available, or we have to enable another feature or purchase another license. Then it will be avail and able. Okay, so yeah, any of the options there, either this or that, whichever can be enabled. So access tier, hot and cool, we already talked about that. This is frequently access data is on hot tier, and this is all about pricing, not security. So a cool tier is cheaper in price, but when you retrieve the file, then it really charges you. Okay, Azure files, if you want to support large files, then you can have that enabled, but again, it depends on some other option disabled. So not security options, I'm going to go ahead, networking. Um, So here you can connect to your storage account either publicly via public IP address or service endpoints, or privately using a private endpoint. So privately you can connect, or publicly you can connect. It's more secure privately. Um, Disable public access and use private access. Suppose you go for that, then you have to have some other kind of service to connect to. A private endpoint to allow a private connection to this resource. Additional private endpoint connections can be created within the storage account or private link center. So suppose I click the add private endpoint here. So you have a VNet grid there, and storage sub resource. What do you want inside that account, inside that other service that you want to connect? So this storage account, you want to connect to some kind of virtual network. And inside that virtual network, obviously, we have to create at least one subnet. Inside that subnet, you want to connect what of from a storage account. So that's what it says here. Then there's private DNS integration. To connect privately with your private endpoint, you need a DNS record. We recommend that you integrate your private endpoint with a private DNS zone, and also utilize your own DNS servers or create DNS records using the host files on your virtual machine. So suppose you create a virtual machine. Okay, let me just create a diagram for that. So we have this cloud. Wow. Okay, and then we have Microsoft Azure, and here you have a storage account, and there you have a virtual. Actually, you have first VNet. Suppose you created a VNet here, and suppose this is a VNet, and in the VNet you have a subnet, and that subnet has a virtual machine. So subnet, and that subnet has a VM. That VNet has a virtual machine. Now that virtual machine can be connected from within the subnet and VNet to a storage account. And we did that. No, that yeah, we did that lab. There was a feature called Azure Files, and with the Azure File, we created a container, and then we mapped that container to this virtual machine. But that was over the internet network, or not. It was not a private link. But you can just do that with a private link as well. But that's what it's saying, that hey, you want to connect with a private endpoint. So private endpoint is inside some VNet, some subnet. Then if it's a virtual machine, then you can connect to that. Maybe there's another service that some developer related service that you have added here within the subnet, and that service needs to connect to the storage account to just dump all this information of storage account to dump all the information from that analytical service to the storage account. Because storage account, obviously, you need to store all the data there, right? If I go back here, so this is how it works. That it's going to be a storage private link to a something in your own environment, right? So if we go for yeah, so I'm just gonna discard that for now and keep it public access. Then which network that you want to connect from, Microsoft network infrastructure across the globe, or non-Microsoft infrastructure across the globe to send your data and receive data. We talked about that before. Protection. Now I'm going to go for, last time we did try to configure all that. So I'm just going to give a brief and go ahead. It says that, hey, you have enabled hierarchical namespace, so you cannot enable point in time restore. Actually, we do, or many of, I mean, companies would need to have this point in time restore service for their containers. Containers have their critical files and folders, right? So that's why I'm gonna go previous. We don't need to upload to SFTP. So we can just go down here and uncheck this enable hierarchical namespace. So we could enable that other thing in data protection. If I go ahead, data protection now enable point in time restore for containers. I'm just gonna click that. And then yes, we talked about in details how many it goes 365 days. You can have instant restore of a deleted container. Right? Soft delete is also there. So Naveen says which one you uncheck. So go to advanced here, back one, and once you click that, go down to this one and uncheck that. Enable hierarchical namespace. Once you uncheck that, make sure you uncheck this one as well. Enable SFTP. We're not going to be using SFTP, but we just need to at least know that okay is from secure file transfer protocol supporting application you can also upload to storage account. Okay. So these two, if you have unchecked, then go back to data protection here and enable this point in time restore. But last time we also did that. No. So networking is default. So networking routing EXP is default. So here, enable point in time restore. You can immediately restore a full container with maybe huge amount of data, maybe even 5 terabyte data as well. Enable soft delete blob for blobs, binary large objects or big files. You want to have soft delete, which is we already talked about that you can instantly recover for 1 year or for now it's 7 days, but you can change it up to 1 year. 365 days. Enable soft delete for whole containers. So soft delete and point in time restore are both features there that you can go point in time means that you can go to a specific date. Hey, what suppose last week I had done this, and then there was a point in time backup taken of that. So we also call it snapshot in VMware, for virtual machines as well. So it's kind of a snapshot that you want to go to that state in which the container was last week, suppose. So that is, and this is soft delete is within 365 days. You can go to that state, suppose for last 1 year as well. Same for this last 1 year. Whatever you deleted in the container or the whole container you want to recover, you can recover it real fast. Enable soft delete for file shares. Well, in file shares, when you create file shares, it's exactly what we were just talking about, that you create Azure file share, and then that folder is mapped over the network to this virtual machine. So whatever you save in the virtual machine, it automatically gets saved here, the storage account. So that you want to enable soft delete for that. So yes, it's for now it's 7 days. If you increase the days here to 365, it's gonna cost you exactly like OneDrive. So it's gonna cost you more, obviously, because now you have deleted data that is taking up your storage as well. So whenever you're increasing the days here, make sure that you know that it's gonna cost you to keep all the deleted data. Suppose you put it 1 year here and then billing has started increasing. So you have to check that what did you change, what number you changed, and now you're paying a lot more dollars, hundreds of dollars more, thousands more in a company. So whenever you're changing any value, it is directly related to billing, and they're gonna ask you what did you do, or did you get the approval, and did you give the cost first, and in the approval you mentioned that it's gonna cost you much more than this, and then you can enable that, right? So that's why okay, anyway, tracking, manage versions and keep track of changes made to your blob data. So yes, enable versioning for blobs. Versioning is, we already know that use create one file today, and or yesterday you created one file and made some changes and uploaded. If versioning is enabled and you open the same file in your laptop today, and then you make some changes more different from yesterday, and upload that, so it keeps yesterday's file separate, same file, and this file is separate, which is exactly the same file. The today's file does not overwrite yesterday's file. Okay, so that's versioning, and versioning also is obviously good keeping of your or availability of your previous versions document. Will block change feed. That's not security, but keep track of create modification. Whoever is making whatever changes to your blob or large amount of files, so it will keep a change track of that change. Access control, enable version level immutability support. So your different file versions. So yesterday you made a change to the file accounts and uploaded it to cloud. And today you made a change to the file accounts and upload it to the cloud. So previous version, yesterday's version of the file, do you want them to be no delete, no non-modifiable, non-deletable? Oh, okay, there's a question. Um, Enable point in time restore for containers is unchecked. No, it is checked. So it is checked. Enable point in time restore, and yeah. So here, enable version level immutability support, and that is enable. So previous versions of the files will be automatically placed into no delete, no modification. But whenever you're enabling versioning, always remember that if it's a big company or even if it's a small company, but your company releases huge amount, I mean, uploads huge amount of files. So when you enable versioning for those files, obviously it's gonna charge you more. So always remember whatever changes you're making, whatever click you do might translate into few hundred more dollars than your company was expecting, right? So make sure whatever you, and does not actually uh, increase cost, because this is just saying that I'm gonna make your other versions of the files read only and nobody can delete them. So this is a good security measure. Encryption, if I go there, we talked about that before as well. Suppose, so do you want Microsoft to manage your encryption decryption keys? Uh, or do you want to manage encryption decryption keys yourself? Now, majority of the time, administrators keep this option enabled, which is Microsoft Managed Keys, MMK. Suppose we go for this one. Right? So customer managed key. Last time we went for that, and then we created a full security vault. We could save our keys, encryption keys there. Let's create that now as well. So this means, first of all, we will be managing encryption key for our all data, decryption key for all our data, and we're going to what be encrypting our blobs of binary large objects, or there are different types of blobs as well, uh, and then files and tables and queues. So when all the data inside is encrypted, so encryption key has to be retrieved from somewhere. We're going to save our encryption key here in a key vault. So whenever the data needs to be encrypted, suppose you don't need to open data anymore, so you have closed the table or just close the page. It needs to be encrypted now. So the encryption key will be accessed from here, key vault, uh, and then encryption service will say, "Hey, key vault, can you give me the encryption key? I need to encrypt your data because the users have stopped using it. I need to encrypt." And when the users open the files or anything, or open the tables and queues or read the data, so the encryption service says, "Hey, key vault, can you give me the decryption key because the users want to read their files?" So I want to decrypt for them. For that, I need the decryption key. It goes for that. If we don't create a key vault, Microsoft just manages in the background the whole thing, right? When you open the file, it has your decrypt, so it's automatically just decrypted. The keys are there, managed by Microsoft. But when we are doing that, still, we're just paying key vault. This is another service, separate service that we're paying, plus the storage account service we are paying. But we get to then store our keys. There are reasons that administrators would want to keep their keys, but themselves, and they want to maintain that themselves. Sometimes they want to have key vault created for many, many, many other services for to keep their passwords and secrets and certificates. Key vault is always there, so otherwise, first option is also good. Now, well, let's create that key vault again. And in order to use customer managed keys, the following resources will need to have been created beforehand. If they have not been created, you will not need to leave this experience to go leave the experience to go do so, which means that leave this storage account creation process, go create a key vault first, and then come back here. If I go there, select a key vault and key, we need to create a key vault, so our encryption decryption keys could be stored there, right? And we're gonna pay something monthly there in the production environment if you're doing that. So I'm just gonna click key vault, and obviously I didn't create that, but if I select the key vault, will it let me create? Oh, it does not. Okay. So this means that I click the storage account. Yes, I'm back. I'm gonna keep this window here. I'm gonna go create a key vault and come back here. Okay. So last time I created that, but I deleted it. Obviously, I don't want to pay for that for the whole week. So I'm just gonna right click that and duplicate tab. Let's create a key vault because that's a security course, right? We're talking about anything security. So this is a duplicate tab. I'm gonna go to the search, and this is the key vault. But I'll suppose you type it key. So yeah, SSH keys, BitLocker keys, and managed HSM is for hardware, language, cognitive services. So yeah, key vaults is this one. I'm just gonna click key vaults, and last time what I created was deleted, so I'm just gonna click create key vault here. And resource group, yes, is resource group that we have, which is oh man, seriously, the resource group didn't get created because I did not create one right now. So what we can do is we can create a resource group and change everything to that. So remember that the storage account is not created yet. And we have defined a secure resource group. If I go to basics, there's a resource group here, but it hasn't been created yet, obviously. And we need one resource group to have all. We not create another one. So yeah, I can separately create a resource group as well. I'm gonna go further. I'm gonna duplicate this tab as well to create a resource group and give it, uh, you know, here to the storage account and also this key vault. To create a resource group before separately. So if it's simultaneously, it needs to be added. So this is another storage account. This is key vault. I'm going to create a duplicate here just to create a storage resource group be given to key vault as well as this storage account. So I'm just going to create another duplicate tab, and I'll go for resource group. How to create a resource group? It's here, and there's a resource group. It's pretty straightforward thing. Create a resource group. And it says what do you want to create. Okay, so it's oh yeah, RG and 04 March 2023, and it's resource group. All right, okay, and yeah, it is Canada Central. So whichever country you are in, better go for data residency rules. Always keep those in mind. Companies would appreciate your concern about data residency as well, instead of going for any uh, you know country, whichever is already by default selected. So resource group and the tags always, I have been skipping tags, but it's better to have a you should get used to putting tags there. It's a very good practice, right? So suppose it's for which project are you making tags, or making this service available? So suppose it's Toronto shoreline, whatever. Suppose there's a project called Toronto shoreline, and who's the manager, or what's the application? So just quickly, I'm just gonna put some information and go ahead. Manager John, and the department is IT, obviously doing that. Okay, so anyway, let's get used to putting tags as well. It's very beneficial later. So I'm just gonna go for review plus 3 and 8, validation passed, and then I'm gonna click 3 and 8. I'm gonna put that resource group G04. Hopefully now it does appear here. So I'm just gonna go to the storage account first and give this resource group. I'm gonna go to the key vault and try to give this resource group. I hope they detect that. I'm gonna go for storage account here, and resource group I had defined here in basics, right? So if I go there, okay, the whole exercise was of no use. So maybe I will end up creating third resource group, because I don't want to go ahead without creating a key vault. Anyway, it's not. Suppose I go refresh this. If I refresh all this, it's gonna just remove everything I selected. So okay, a drastic decision right now. That is bad, but I'm just gonna. I know that what I've created here. Let's just copy this. Uh, mess. I should have just created two. Okay, this is the storage account name. Right. I'm copying there because I'm about to pull refresh here. I'm gonna click refresh here, which will remove pretty much all the settings. So then we know what we have configured. So we're just gonna um, put it back. So I'm just gonna refresh that. This means all settings gone. Refresh. If it retains, I'll be very happy. Otherwise, okay, there you go. I'm not happy. Okay. Anyway, so resource group name is RG04 March. That's what I created. I refreshed it. All settings are gone. But now the secure resource group is already created. I'll just go ahead and simply put that name again. Storage account name, whatever, and Canada Central. Just quickly go Canada Central, and standard is okay. So again, just a resource group, but this time we have a resource group here, right? And storage account name, advanced. I'm going to go to advanced now. We remember our options that we selected here. Okay, on this page, nothing needs to be changed other than this. Azure default to Azure Active Directory. This is the only option in advanced I'm selecting. Default to Azure Active Directory. And then networking. Nothing here as well. Nothing in networking. Net protection. Only selection I'm doing is enable point in time restore. Enable point in time restore. It says that for that versioning should be enabled. Yes, we're good. That's it. On this page, one is enable point in time restore. Second is access control. For versioning, versioned like other versions will be no delete, no delete, no modification, right? I'm just gonna go encryption, and it better have a resource group already. So I'm gonna go for my own key vault, and all my services here, data inside those services will be encrypted. And I'm gonna go for key vault creation now. So I could enable here. So I'm not gonna open it right now. I'll go to the others tab where the key vault creation was happening. Right? That's where I was creating a key vault, and I'm just gonna refresh that too because I had done nothing in terms of configuration. I'm just gonna refresh that key vault. Now it should have that resource group. and now it has that resource group. In one resource group, I wanted to have everything, and the best practice then should be just create a resource group first and start creating stuff. So the resource group here is already there. A keyboard name, I can go for Amir keyboard uh, B-A-U-L-D keyboard and 04 March 23. Okay. Obviously, it has to be the same region, so make sure it's the same region. Cannot be a different region, right? Otherwise, keyword cannot really connect to storage account. Okay, and then pricing tier is standard. Okay, here's pricing tier. Okay, so pricing tier standard, I'll keep the standard. Recovery option, soft lead protection will automatically be enabled on this keyboard. That's very good. If you had deleted by accident any of the encryption decryption keys, then there is a soft delete service enabled, which is very, very good. Suppose you lost your decryption key, all your data will be encrypted forever. You can't read that data, it's kind of lost unless until you get a decryption key. Okay, so yes, it's still recoverable for 90 days of delete if you delete anything from the key vault. Purge protection is also disabled actually, which means so disable purge protection. Oh, disable purge protection. Allow key vault and objects to be purged during retention period. This means that when you have deleted the, or suppose you really don't need it, you deleted the key vault keys and certificates or whatever, so it could be purged or uh, deleted permanently as well. If you enable this, so then there will be purge protection. This means that no one can permanently delete that, uh, enforce a mandatory retention. No one can delete permanently anything from the deleted vaults for 90 days. Within 90 days, yes, you can permanently delete as well. But then there's a protection that you can enable that, hey, I know that I deleted something, but I don't want anyone to permanently delete that within this period that I have put here, right? So that's a good security option to enable. I'm just gonna click review plus screen and wait. Running virtual. All right. So key vault is created. This key vault will be uh, made available for the uh, storage account encryption decryption key saving. I'm just gonna click create. And the encryption decryption key is there's a lot of snow, heavy snow on cars. Yeah, so here and deployment is succeeded, and now once this is participated, I'm gonna go back to the storage account, and I'm gonna open. So remember that I selected customer managed keys, and then what services for which this keyword will be saving encryption keys. I'm gonna be changing after storage. Yeah. Okay. Okay. In order to use the customer managed keys, the following resources will need to have been created beforehand. If they have not been created, yeah, we read that. Select a key vault and key. I'm just gonna click select a key vault and key, and Now I'm clicking key vault. I'm not going for hardware uh, related, storage keys. And I'll just go for this. So yes, there is that vault that I just B, A, and end. So once this key vault is created, then it says that can you create a key within the key vault? Yeah, I didn't create a key. Because in AWS it just comes automatically, right? But here it's not coming. So this means I need to go to my back to my key vault here and then create a key and then come back here. So the key should also appear, right? So I go back to the key vault and I can go from here, go to resource, or I can go from here to just see the whole console as well. So search history key is still there and the key vault is still here as well. I click the key vault. This is the first key vault. You can create as many key vaults here. And in the key vault, there is keys. Coming TLS 1.0, 1.1 deprecation. Yeah, this is already, everyone should have moved to TLS 1.2 already. The keys and generate and import key. So there's a key to open the key vault as well. And I have clicked this, went to keys and generate or import key. So those keys are important. Generate, import, destroy. So generate name, Amir key for Walt Disney. Okay. So here, please provide a valid key name. Key names can only contain alphanumeric characters and dashes. The value you provide may be copied globally for the purpose of running the service. Value provided should not include personally identifiable or sensitive information. Excuse me. Yeah, so you can just put some name there. Then there is RSA and EC, which key is type of key to create. Now, this key is there for the key vault. So just like there's a key for the lock, there's a key for the key vault. This key is used to open key vault to get our encryption, decryption keys, passwords, secrets. Shared secrets are just passwords that are shared between two services, certificates, right? So we're creating a key to lock unlock the key vault, which will save all our encryption, decryption keys, certificates, right? So then there's RSA and EC. So let's just talk about it a little. Oh, was it Azure keyword key RSA or EC? Okay, what type of key is Azure Key Vault, and what methods of authenticating to Azure Key Vault is recommended for most? Uh, so the key types, algorithms, and operations. When you create an RSA key in Azure Key Vault, let's say RSA, Azure key. So let's just go for the keyword here. That is documentation. I click it. You didn't believe me first. So first of all, key types and protection methods, right? So Azure Key Vault provides two types of resources to store and manage cryptographic keys. Vaults support software protected and HSM protected, which is hardware security module. We just went for software protected, right? So HSM is hardware. We talked about that before. I showed you some key fobs there, pictures of the key fobs in last class. Managed HSMs only support HSM protected keys. So when we say HSM, just to give you an idea again, uh, for the pictures from the images, So there are hardware devices that are, so sometimes there are security cards there, network cards. Sometimes there are big devices there, but they are all hardware, and sometimes they're fobs. So that those devices have keys, and those devices just need some kind of hardware to confirm that it is you. You are who you say you are, right? So we are not using HSM protected keys. You have to purchase that, obviously. And then resource type vaults. So vaults are uh, vaults software protected and hardware protected. Both type of information is saved in vaults, and then yeah, the vault's address is there. We were managed as HSM. What's wrong with that? HSMs. So hardware security module, HSM, hardware security module. Not using that, but company can also, just like there are security key cards you can put in the laptop as well, and then you can only log in. So without that hardware, you cannot log in. So vaults provide a low cost, easy to deploy, multi-tenant, zone resilient, highly available key management solution suitable for most common cloud applications. So we get to know first of all what are vaults, and then what are these. Well, so I'm just gonna copy that quickly. Oh yeah, key link. Just gonna put that key link there, and in WhatsApp. And what are keys? Key to success. So storage security, infrastructure encryption is still upcoming, so that's why I kept it. And these were the configurations for last class. Let me just quickly move that. So keys, vaults, Azure, vaults, and keys. What did I do? Okay, so I'll just go for this link. This is very important for, this is a good read about what are these. So as we discussed already, vaults provide a low cost deployment, multi-tenant, blah, 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 manage highly available key management solution, right? And HMS, HSM's, HSM provides single tenant, zone resilient, where available, highly available HSMs to store and manage your cryptographic keys. We talk about, excuse me, cryptographic keys, right? So terminology after terminology keeps coming for security, right? So I'm going to come back to this vault keys, but just a brief about cryptographic keys as well. Cryptographic key is a string of data that is used to lock or unlock cryptographic functions, including authentication, authorization, and encryption. To lock and lock, basically, we take it in the terms of encryption to encrypt or decrypt something, right? Cryptographic keys are grouped into cryptographic key types according to functions they perform. Now, if there are key types there, then there are many types of keys that are there. Since we are reading it from Wikipedia, so there are asymmetric versus symmetric keys, and then there are key types. Wow, private signature key, public signature key, symmetric authentication. So just the brief difference between symmetric and asymmetric keys uh, is that there's a PKI, or public key infrastructure. Suppose there are two parties here, John and Bob, and John and Bob. So, on. So now these guys need to talk to each other securely, right? they want to make sure that whatever data they're transferring is going to be secure, right? So asymmetric keys are that suppose you're sending an email, right? There's a very critical data in the email, and that email's um, encryption decryption key is available. Same key is available. Same key is available with John, and same key has to be. So there's a passphrase. No, normally when you encrypt some document, so there is a passphrase that you put there. For suppose passphrase is anything. I mean, like so it's CEADGHS. Suppose there's some sentence you have put that tea is very tasty, or I need coffee, or it's 25 centimeters snow here. So you can put a passphrase there, right? So that pass- passphrase has to be exactly the same. Passphrase has to be told to Bob as well. So passphrase is the same here that encrypts the data, and the same one is needed to decrypt the data. Encrypt and decrypt. So Bob needs to read the email, he has to decrypt the data, right? So with asymmetric, what happens is that whatever password was used or passphrase was used to encrypt the data, needs that password needs to be told to Bob. Hey Bob, the password is something. Bob says something what? No, something. Something what? The passphrase itself is SOMETHING. You put that, you will be able to decrypt and read my email. Oh, it is something, Bob says that. Right? But the problem with that is if you are sharing the same password to encrypt and decrypt the email, the problem with that is that you have to tell that same password or passphrase to Bob. When you're saying that, when you're telling Bob on phone, somebody can tap your phone. When you're saying that on some private email, other email, private email, so somebody can tap that, right? So there's a possibility of you getting, hacked or intercepted, and somebody would know oh, that's a password to encrypt and decrypt data because it's the same for encryption and same for decryption. So that's not good. So there is symmetric keys. Now let me just check that. Symmetric keys differ from symmetric keys in that algorithms use separate keys. So this is symmetric that I was talking to you about use separate keys, which is asymmetric. Okay, so this is symmetric. I was talking about that same symmetric keys, uh, same um, password or slash passphrase to encrypt slash decrypt, which is less in security, is not very secure way. So thing is that with symmetric keys, this is going to be not very secure if you're using the same password to encrypt decrypt because it can be intercepted. You have to tell Bob obviously that password some way. Now there are ways to do this. Suppose you send half of the password or 25% of the password through phone, then the next 25% through email, the next 50% via text message. Then it's then Bob would know that, oh, okay, so that's the whole password. So and companies go way ahead in this, and they all the precautions to deliver a password, sometimes very very complicated ways. So then what's the symmetric keys? Asymmetric keys then. Asymmetric keys are more uh, secure in that asymmetric keys. So there, um, the encryption and decryption key PW passphrase is different. Oh, then how can you even open that? I mean, let's suppose you used a different key to encrypt, and Bob uses a different key to decrypt. So if they're different, how can the same email be opened, right? So and now this is a scenario where the public key and private key comes, right? So there is the concept of public key and private key. What is that? When you go for public key, private key, so the main difference is that, and it's gonna come to you one way or another. You will be asked about that. Oh, can you tell me about PKI? And what is PKI? PKI is public key infrastructure, right? And what is that? So there's a public key, there's a private key. Okay, what does that do? Public key, public key is going to encrypt your data. Public key will encrypt your data, and private key will private key decrypts your data. Okay. Oh, okay. So how does it work? Well, uh, how it works is that public key, is available publicly to anyone. So suppose John is sending email now, and John would need public key of Bob to encrypt the data. So John is sending an email. Sending email needs public key of Bob to encrypt the email. Now, what do you mean by public key of Bob? So normally there are certificates. Suppose John and Bob are in the same company, right? Or even if different companies, they are using some software that is, centrally being accessed by both John and Bob. Right? So suppose they are in the same company. Go with an easier example. And when there is same company, so every user is given a certificate, security certificate. So every user is given a security certificate, and this certificate has a public key and private key for a user. Um, Public key is accessible by all users, while private key is only with the user, no one else. So this is all actually managed. Suppose we go for Azure Active Directory as the key management or key storage area or key vault also. Right now, key vault can be an example where all the public key, private keys are stored, right? So, but we just want to understand PKI right now. So John needs public key of Bob to encrypt the email, and that public key John will get from, suppose, Azure AD, or Azure AD also secure certificate, or from the key vault. If John is also accessing, because they're same tenant, same Azure Active Directory. So John retrieves Bob's public key and encrypts the email. And because Bob's security certificate's public key is used, So only Bob's security certificate's private key can open it, right? So some part of the security certificate public key PK and private key PRK, suppose. So some information is in the public key and some of the missing information is in the private key. So John uses just the public key of Bob to wow, okay, encrypt the whole email, and Bob only has the private key with him. No one else has, and Bob can decrypt the email that John sent. So another example, analogy I'm gonna give right now, but let me just write that. So Bob opens the email with by by decrypting it with Bob's private key, right? So this is the way you can encrypt and decrypt. So there's another example for that. Public key can be in an analogy. Public key can be considered. Public key can be considered as lock, and private key can be considered as key. Lock and key. What does that mean? Well, um, so when we have lock and key, not lane, and lock, okay, lock and key, right? So images, yeah, lock and key is a series as well. Okay, right. So that would be wow, what a key. So I'll just take that picture here, copy image, and go there and put that key. So key is right. So the key is yes, third key, and the lock is public key. So that is another analogy for that. Uh, so locks. Suppose I want to send you a gift, right? But you have sent me a lock, right? And I don't have the key for the lock. I was sent just a open lock. So I'm telling you, hey, I want to. So John wants to send a gift, suppose, not a gift, but a very, very secret document. But he wants to lock it in a box, and that box's key should only be with Bob, right? So tells Bob, "Hey Bob, can you send me an open lock, and only you should have the key for that, right?" So Bob purchases a lock and key, and Bob sends that lock to John. John puts a very top secret document in that box and locks it with Bob's lock. And then the box travels. It's pretty heavy or pretty secure box and can only be opened by key. So when the box reaches Bob, and then Bob only has the key for that lock that he sent to John. Right? So when the gift arrives or the box arrives, only Bob has the key to open the box, right? So Bob use the key to open the box. Suppose John sent by mistake this box to someone else. Someone else does not have that key, right? So that's the analogy for a public key and private key. John sending an email to Bob will use the public key of the security certificate that is given to Bob. Because some information of public key, that particular public keys is with the private key as well. With the private key, it will recognize, oh yes, John must have used my public key because with my private key I can open it. This means John must have used my public key, right? So John sends an email encrypting the email with using the public key that is inside Bob's security certificate. And then when the email reaches, only Bob has the private key that has the other half of the information of the public key. And so Bob can open that email. Suppose this email was intercepted. The hacker does not have the private key of Bob, right? So hacker cannot really open that email if it was successfully intercepted and downloaded. Cannot read it because it's encrypted and the private key is with Bob. So with symmetric keys, it's just one same passphrase, and hacker can try to intercept at any stage, get that same password that encrypts and same password that decrypts. But with PKI infrastructure, uh, there's a public key and private key. Public key is with everyone. Anyone can access user's public key, which is just a lock, and user itself has a private key only. So public key anyone can use for any user, but just to public key only does what? It encrypts. It just locks something, right? It just makes something unreadable. And private key is with only that user whose public key was used. So private key holder can only read that data then, because private key decrypts, it unlocks, it opens the document, right? So one part of that security certificate is public key, one part is private key. Private key is with the owner, the user who can only decrypt, and public key anyone can use to only encrypt. So that's kind of a long discussion that keeps going on and on and on, but hopefully it is much more clearer to you, and you can always watch this video again to check it out. Also, there is another video. Normally, I look for um, some animation as well about public key, private key. So I would recommend another video, but I have to search that quickly. I'll do that right now because in animation, one company has explained how public key and private key works, and it's pretty amazing and pretty simple actually. So, symmetric keys, asymmetric keys, public key, private key, so all that is going to be much more clearer. That's pretty much the same way they are explaining as well. That video is has animations, so I would recommend that whenever talking about security, at least you should know very well how public key, private key really works, or how PKI works. And I want to search that in Google because Google or ChatGPT. And when I go to ChatGPT, why is it closed? I mean, so many million people are using it. Anyway, okay, anyway, so here it was Nugget and public key, private key video explained. Think it might pop up right away. CBT Nuggets, how to implement public key, private key. There was an animated one. I'll just quickly check that, and if I remember that is there public key, private key. Hmm. Many people have explained that as well. Very. Oh, micro nugget. Yes, it was micro nugget. Yes, that was one thing, and animation was excellent. Micro nugget, public key, private key. PK. Oh, they kept on creating more. So okay. Anyway, so I remember that exact guy where it was pretty good. So I'm just gonna share this whole search. Any of those videos are good. So uh, what is PKI and for this search, I'm putting it here and try to uh, see those videos again and again. What are public key and private keys, and how do they really work? Right? So that's mucho importante. We were, if I go back here, um, we have a resource group here. We were talking about keys here. Okay, so then I started discussing this, and there are key types. So first of all, cryptographic keys may also have keys that designate they can be used for long-term static archive use or used for a single session ephemeral. It goes in detail, much more detail. It also says a cryptographic key is a string of data that is used to lock or unlock cryptographic information functions. So if I go for cryptographic key and look for my search, and then I go for images, so cryptographic key would look like something, this, which is just a long list of huge list of characters after characters after. Oh wow, I don't remember that movie. Okay, anyway, so it's ones and zeros, but yeah, no, not ones and zeros, but it's alphanumeric characters, long list. Either you have 2,000 of them or 1,000 of them, but it just lets you uh, explain that or see you lets you see what the key and private keys. Okay, I'm just going to go back here. We were talking about vaults. Vaults provide a low cost, easy to deploy multi-tenant. Yeah, yeah. So vaults keep your keys, right? So we basically do know that, and we have already um, talked about it. Vaults also allow you to store and manage several types of objects like secrets, certificates, storage account keys, in addition to cryptographic keys. Yes. So vaults pretty much save your all secrets. Now, also some more thing with cryptographic keys in Key Vault are represented as JSON Web Key, JWK objects, JavaScript object notation JSON, and JavaScript object signing and encryption Jose or Jose Jose specification. So there is JSON key. JSON is just a file Java object JavaScript object notation where you can understand really the code. It's human readable more when you go for JSON file format, and in that format they put the keys as well there. The base JWK and JWA specifications are also extended to enable key types unique to the Azure Key Vault. So yeah, there are ways to really protect that. Also, there's a hardware-based keys. We talked about that, right? And I showed you some big devices that are supposed to be connected to the network, so you can authenticate people with hardware devices like fobs and everything. So these keys are protected in single tenant HSM pools. Okay, you can import an RSA, EC, and symmetric key in soft form or by. Okay, let's go further down here. Key types and protection methods. Key vaults support RSA and EC keys. And also hardware side as well, managed HSM supports RSA and EC and symmetric cards. Now, HSM protected keys, they are talking about EC HSM elliptic curve key. EC is elliptic curve. EC elliptic curve. Supported P256, 384. So how many characters does it support? 256 characters. Let me just give you another more detailed, very easier example. When I say that, oh, my key is 256 characters, so what do I mean by that? It's just like this. Uh, so it creates that table or that characters keys, and if any character-based keys, and if any hacker wants to know the key, that hacker would go for some software called brute force, or some software supporting brute force attack, which means that it's gonna guess all the combinations. Through all the combination, it will guess the correct key. If it is 256 characters, good luck. It will, there are many powerful machines that can keep on checking and combining the combinations and then guess the key. So it is 256, maybe few weeks it will take. Suppose it's 2048 characters. So that is 2000. Keep writing 2000, right? So it will take years for the hacker to really uh, guess that correct key, because there's so many letters there and there are combinations there. So brute force attack would take years to find. So it would not be beneficial to really try to crack a 2000 character key, right? So with EC or elliptic curve, and then there's RSA here. So RSA key supported 2048 bit, 3072 bit, and 4096 bit. So that is normally they say 2000 is also impossible to brute force attack and guess the key because it takes years. Today's technology, it is taking, they're saying that it will take years to get the combination. What about 3007 characters? What about 4096 characters? Uh, that would really be that would take so much long time that hackers would not go this way about cracking the key, thinking of cracking the key, right? They would just go for some other way, guess, just send a link about, hey, you won $50,000 vacation trip to Hawaii, and then just click this link. All it needs is employee who is bored to death in the company and wants to just go for a vacation, hits his or her boss and everything like that, and he or she simply clicks that link, and there you go. You have a backdoor open to your office network. Thanks to that employee who was bored to death and wanted to click have a vacation. You actually did not give that vacation to that employee. That's your fault as well. Or the employee is dumb enough to click that link, and that's it. Hackers are in your network. Why bother tracking 2048 when you have a bored employee in your company? Okay, so there are human factors, right? That are much more easily exploitable. So the more your employees are aware of this kind of, you can't just click every URL, right? You have to just make sure that this much awareness is there, and if anyone clicks a link, that's all you need. Suppose you've clicked the link to your cell phone. Your cell phone is already hacked. Congratulations, right? You've downloaded some picture. Your cell phone is already hacked. Somebody's coming in your phone and then checking your camera or something like that. So try to not click links from everywhere. Oh, that's a cool video. Download. That's it. You're hacked. Okay, so be very careful with what we click. And yeah, also put a sticker, from Amazon.ca, you can purchase small blocking stickers that just block your camera, right? So, but then there's data inside your cell phone as well. Anyway, the thing is that it goes on, and there are so many ways to hack. But yes, RSA is going to be much, much, much stronger, right? So an elliptic curve, he also offers P256. This is also part of 256. Let me just quickly grab this information, because this is something that we commonly use, 2048 characters or 3072. Uh, until recently, not recently, but few some years back, I was just seeing the maximum as 2048, but now there is 3000. No, we were seeing 4000 bits as well. So this is not possible in a specific time to crack this. Uh, key. So let me just grab some more info about elliptic curve. Normally, I would not see, RSA would be basically chosen in majority of the cases. So there are key terms there. Azure, but this is the same area where we were before. More details on elliptic curve. If we go and somebody has elliptic curve cryptography was added to CryptoSys PKI Pro in version blah blah. This is expanded version. Okay. Things are given no. So I'm just gonna go for, you can see the elliptic curve cryptography function that is toolkit to sign data using the ECDSA algorithm, ECDSA signatures. You can create your own elliptic curve keys and read, analyze, and save keys in standard key file formats, both encrypted. So I'm just gonna go again with elliptic curve especially, and give you a paragraph at least that is understandable, right? So explained. Go for that. Um, okay, there you go. So elliptic curve cryptography ECC is an approach to public key cryptography based on the algebraic structure of elliptic curves over finite fields. ECC allows smaller keys compared to non-EC cryptography based on plain Boolean fields to provide elective equivalent security. So thing is, there are smaller keys involved there, which means that decryption happens a bit faster than RSA. Elliptic curves are applicable for key agreement, digital signatures, pseudo-random generators, and other tasks. Indirectly, they can be used for encryption by combining key agreement with a symmetric encryption. Oh, there you go. So this is a symmetric way of um, you know using the key. So remember symmetric, we were just talking about that the password is the same on in the source, whoever is sending data with whoever is receiving data, the same password, then you have to just make sure that this password is delivered securely to the other person. But it is easier to intercept that password for a hacker and then crack it. But, with asymmetric keys, the hacker, it's very difficult for the hacker to get hold of the private key of the user who will decrypt the data. And while public key is available for anyone to use, but that only encrypts data. It only locks. The unlocking or the key is only with that user. Unless you hack that user's phone and PC and or become that user, just know the password and your cell phone again because it is MFA protected. It must be. If hacker has your cell phone and has the username password as well, then only if the hacker is you, I mean, like if hacker becomes you, it pretty much has everything you have, then only you can, a hacker has the private key. Otherwise, from outside, no way. So this is more secure with public key, private key. Right? So that's what it's saying that elliptic curve actually uses symmetric, or which is this symmetric key, which is less secure than RSA, which is using PKI. Well, I can just go for RSA key as well. RSA key explained. Keeper uses there you go. That's the biggest difference. RSA key is private and public. So, yeah, our discussion was about. So, when we say EC, which is elliptic curve, so elliptic curve equals symmetric key, and then there is this RSA is asymmetric key, right? Asymmetric key. So this is more secure. Elliptic curve is comparatively less secure, right? Secure, less. Less it uses also big, key there. So by default, it is on RSA. And yes, it is also showing 2000 characters you want to use. Suppose you go for 4000. What's wrong with that? Well, there's nothing wrong. The thing is, remember that you have to decrypt the data. For that, you have to go through the 4000 character key. This is not you, it's a compute, underlying compute uh, will have more pressure to decrypt maybe 1 terabyte data, 20 terabyte data, 1 exabyte data. thousand terabyte data, right? So for that, you need to decrypt a lot of data. And if it's a bigger key, it takes more processing power, right? And more processing power means a bit more billing on your Azure, but that's like 0.0000 cents more. For big companies, that's nothing, right? It does take time to decrypt and encrypt. If it's bigger key, it does take comparatively lesser time to decrypt or encrypt, lesser number of keys. So there's, bigger key is directly related to performance as well. Although it's not significantly bad, there's performance issue there. Okay, so I'm generating a key back here, generating a key to be used in the key vault here for this storage account, for the storage account that I'm creating. Right? It's just still open in a storage account. So activation date, if you want this key to expire as well, not if I skip that and it's enabled tags, it's just project Toronto Toronto something. Okay, I put some kind of tag. Set key rotation, so key should be rotating, should keep on changing. This is also a good idea, but for now we're gonna go for same key here. Confidential key options. So exportable. You want to save this key for the vault in your USB as well. It is possible, and yes, you can. You just better protect it. Uh, so it's exportable as well. So if I go for key rotation, then it goes for when do you want to rotate the key or when do you want to keep changing the key? Every 18 months you want to change the key, right? And suppose there are certain applications that are using this key. So those applications need to be updated. Hey, application, I have changed. The key rotation has happened and the key has changed, so we need to update you as well, application. So, and then there is an exportable start activation and deactivation. Suppose I go for activation and deactivation. It's not really still good for that. If I go for EC, which just goes for its own level of encryption, I'll stick to RSA, but exportable and immutable. Nobody can change that key. Is still not okay. Go there. The key must be marked exportable to release to a trusted execution environment such as secure enclave. Exportable keys must have a confidential operation policy. Exportable property can only be set at key creation. So yeah, anyway, the thing is that we can create a simple key here without much options. I'm just going to click the create button and there's a key created for the keyword. So again, let me just create it. What are we doing? So there's a key created and that will open a vault, key vault, and that key vault secures your security certificates, certificates, encryption, decryption keys. Oh, seriously, I need to write this way then. Encryption, decryption keys, shared secrets, right? So, and certificates, right? So we have just created a key that opens our key vault, opens or closes our key vault, which saves our encryption decryption key for our data, for certificates that we purchase, security certificates, take our HTTP into HTTPS, and shared secrets between two applications they want to connect or share data or exchange data. So then there are shared secrets, right? So all this. Now I am, yeah, so this is the key that was created here, and there's secrets and certificates also showing there. If I'm going to go back here, that just to, I'm going to go to the storage account back, and then I'm going to open the select key vault key again, and then select key vault here, and then there's a key vault, and there you go. It doesn't detect the key, seriously. Can I copy? Select the key. It's not copy. It's select the key. It's supposed to show me the key. It's not detecting that. Suppose I go select this, go previous, 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 and then without changing, go back next. It loads the page. Then I go for customer managed keys, and then I go for select a key vault and key, and then key vault. Uh, and there's the key, and oh man, I don't want to start the storage account again, but I think I have to. But I have all the things now. If I hadn't gone for key vault, I wouldn't have to do that. So this means that it needs to select the key. For that, it needs to show me the key. For that, I need to refresh this storage account again, and I have the information for the storage account. So I'm just gonna go back here. What I selected was this enable and enable immersion. Though I think in networking in advanced, I selected this default, right? Nothing else. And in basics, I just need to copy this name again because I'm gonna refresh this storage account and I want that to select that key as well. I could go ahead, right? So I'm putting this information here, and now the resource group is already created. This is the only information I need to copy paste, right? So I'm going to go ahead and refresh. So this means that I'm creating a storage account again. But this is what I'm doing just to get that uh, you know a key from there. So I'll refresh this second time, and so this is the storage account name. This is um, Canada Central and Advanced, like this, working thing, like this on protection, and enable version level immutability, encryption. Yeah, now it better be working. Thank God. Okay, so we created a key, and that key is um, for the key vault, and that key vault is available for the storage account now. And anything you save in the storage account, the files, and you encrypt that, so that encryption uh, key will be stored here in the key vault. And to open the key vault, you have to have the key. Right? Just gonna click select. We're saying that, hey, Microsoft, yes, I know that you can manage our encryption keys, but no, we decided to go our own way. We went our own way or selected this just to explore the options here. Right? So this is how to create a secure that key vault and then create a key for that, and the concept of symmetric asymmetric keys and PKI or public key infrastructure, all that. Okay, so then there is user assigned identity as well, and that is a user assigned identity is an identity in Azure Active Directory that can be used to give access to other Azure resources such as Azure Key Vault. Um, so That user assigned identity can be used to give access to key vault as well. User assigned just means that you can give a user also access to this key vault with different permissions. So if I click the select an identity, and if it lets me do that, to assign managed identities. So yeah, we were talking about last time this as well, and we talked in detail how to create a managed identity. Managed identity is a user account. It's actually used for service account as for applications, and that is used for uh, you know uh, the password of the managed identity. You don't have to change yourself. Whenever the password expires, it keeps that password change maintenance itself. Whenever the password is changed automatically, is um, managed by managed identity. So the thing is that you create a service account and add here. That service account can be used by this storage account for any purpose, like connecting to some other application with some permissions. If you want some higher level permissions needed, you add the managed identity. You need some higher level permissions needed, then you add this managed identity here. So if I click that, now there is this, since we have secure key vault here, and we don't need right now a service account. We don't have any application right now that needs higher permissions to do something. So we're not choosing that. But if we go ahead, there's enable infrastructure encryption. So we last time talked about that as well. Infrastructure encryption, by default, Azure, uh, we talked about that before as well. And this is here in our discussion, infrastructure encryption. So it double encrypts whatever data you have. You have encryption, and then overall you want to do some more encryption on the already encrypted data. Then you go for, so Azure Storage automatically encrypts all data in a storage account. So whenever you upload a data, it's automatically encrypted, already getting encrypted at the service level using 256-bit AES encryption, one of the strongest block ciphers available, and is FIPS 140-2 compliant as well. We talked about that in last class as well. Customers who require higher levels of assurance that their data is secure can also enable 256-bit AES encryption at the Azure Storage infrastructure level for double encryption. So double encryption, that's the thing that we need to know. Double encryption of Azure Storage data protects against a scenario where one of the encryption algorithms or keys may be compromised. In this scenario, additional layer of encryption continues to protect your data. So that is the double encryption we're talking about, that one level of encryption is somehow decrypted, and that's also a big thing, that how can you decrypt the first level, because it is 256-bit and AES encrypted. But the thing is that um, if that is done, you can still be safe with double encryption or infrastructure encryption. The whole storage infrastructure, this whole storage account is also encrypted. So this option cannot be changed after the storage account is created. Okay, suppose we select that double encryption as well. So we are already created. We have created a vault. We created a key for the vault, and we are saying that the encryption keys we are managing. Otherwise, Microsoft was managing anyway. You don't have to do that. I just went through the process just to explain how to create a key vault, how to create a key for that, and what are some of the terminologies there. Enable infrastructure. This is just double encryption. Suppose you are really security sensitive. Your organization is kind of having that kind of data that you need more encryption. Then go for double encryption. Otherwise, you don't need that. Select an application. Required to select the user assigned managed identity first. Okay. Multi-tenant just means that you have one tenant and there's a big application installed here and thousands of users are connecting. And then you have another tenant. There's a big application installed there as well. So you want them to communicate with each other securely across the tenant. Then you need that. But for that, we need to have some kind of assigned user assigned identity, which is kind of a service account that gets created. One more thing. Okay, so yeah, I'll try to create a lab for user assigned identity as well. And last time I did open that, common challenge would, yeah. So it just says that you can save your stuff there, but manage entities, systems, and we talked about that user assigned, but it is more like programmers do that. They always need that because developers always create applications, so they need some kind of user account that would give them, um, you know, permissions, higher privileges. For that, managed entities are created. But it would be very, very interesting to how to use managed to create managed identities as well. Way back, I created that, and I had the lab at that time, and I think I lost that lab. So then I'm looking for a better lab. Create a user assigned managed entity. Um, I'll be trying to show a lab there, create a user assigned managed entity. Yeah, that shows you how to create a user assignment. And you can see that developers use that because Visual Studio Enterprise subscription, I think, is needed to create a managed identity. I'll check it out. But this is a lab for step-by-step lab for uh, steps to create user assigned managed identity. Right? So I'm putting it there as well and here. So it's very useful for developers, but if you're not a developer, then at least you know that, you know, that how to create a user assigned manager entity. You can just try it yourself as well. Uh, I hope I am able to do that because if I need a Visual Studio subscription that programmers normally have, then yes, it may not be possible, but then we still do know the steps. And it does maintain its own passwords as well. It shows you certain steps and they're not very long, so I'll try to get that lab as well, where to use it and how to use it. Okay, guys, so we have gone for custom managed keys and services and select key vault done. Uh, it's just a click that we need to do for enable infrastructure encryption. So there is, so I'm going to go for tags and think, oh yeah, the previous tags showing there. To shoreline was the project. Suppose that was it. Department was, I think, IT and manager was John. So whatever we put there, those tags do appear. You can have that good habit of adding tags, which is just extra information. It's always easy to then find later what we have configured where. Review, if I go to review, oh, there is encryption. If I go to encryption, what was it? Oh, I have to actually select that. User assigned identity that has get wrap key and unwrap key permissions on the same key vault. So user assigned identity has to be created on this key vault already for the users to access that key vault. Okay, so it is actually making me do that lab, which is kind of not ready. If it could be done, the key vault access policy, create, okay, key access policy, create, oh, okay. This is just an access policy that who can access the key vault and who has the permissions to do that. So suppose that is an app wants to access this, or and what access you want. Suppose an application wants to retrieve encryption decryption keys, so an application should get a list. List means just give me a list of what you have. I need that encryption key or decryption key right now. Set just to put something new, delete. Oh, I don't want this encryption key. Recover, backup, restore. It's just saying that create a policy. So in Azure, navigate to the keyword restore, select access policies, and then suppose I go through those steps and create one, uh, and I can add it as a managed identity as well. Is that what they're saying? Because that's what they mentioned here. User, okay. User assigned identity is an identity in Azure Active Directory that can be used to give access to other Azure resources such as Azure Keyword. Yeah, and when I go there, so it says go through those steps. So this means that I have to go through this step as well. Now, this is related to encryption. Once we go through it painfully, then obviously we get to know that, oh, there's so much involved in going for customer managed keys. We don't have to do all this if we had selected the first option. Microsoft manages everything in the background. But then we get to know some of the terminology there for security, and we get to peek inside how keys work and how security is maintained, right? So that all stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly follow these steps and then check that if user identity or managed identity area can be populated here. A keyword access policy determines whether a given security principal, namely a user application or user group, can perform different operations on keywords. So you're giving others access to the keyword or an application or any user and access to the keyword to access secrets, keys, certificates, right? So keyword supports up to 1024 access policy entries with each entry granting a distinct set of permissions to a particular security principle. Security principle, given a security principle, namely as what is a security principle? User is a security principle, an application security principle, user group is a security principle. Right? So you want to give them access, you have to create a policy, right? And that should show up here. User assigned managed identity. So filter by identity name and or a resource group name. No user assigned managed identity selected. Select a user assigned managed identity you want to assign to this resource. So who are you giving access to? Okay, so it's dragging me towards that, and I'm so inclined to create that, which is seems like a pretty straightforward process. So I'll be quickly creating that now. There's a keyboard that I created, that we created, and I think I have to follow these steps to fulfill all the requirements of creating a keyword. Because we have created a keyword, right? We haven't decided who should have access to the keyword. So this is saying that decide now who should have access to the keyword. So navigate to the keyword resource, select access policies. So there is access policies that is inside the keyword. I'm already in the keyword. This is access policies here. And okay, I have already access to this. Why don't I use my, will it accept my name here? I'm just gonna go back here and put to that. No, it doesn't detect that. Then it says that put information it needs to put there, right? So if I go there, user assignment, it has to be selected and it appears here. It has to appear here. So why is mine my name not appearing there? Because I'm the administrator, I have has given me an access already. So if I go for user here, edit, if I go to edit, so administrator obviously can do everything, right? Um, secret permissions, certificate permissions, I can do key permissions. Does it need some other permissions? So assigned entities and blah 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 to give access to permission. So here, um, okay, so I will check this out and let us okay, app dash app. This is what I was going to put there, and it's not accepting what I already have there. So privileged secret operations, privileged secret cryptographic operations, select all, purge, release, select all. Yep. So next, and yes, this is save. The keyword has been successfully updated. This was just an update, right? Nothing else. Now we need something else from here. Secrets. No, I haven't created any secrets. So access policy. So this name should be accepted, but it's somehow it's not accepting that. Or it should be appearing there automatically, right? If I click create already, then I just go through the whole thing again, right? So this is something that is already there. It should accept that, but it is not. Wow, don't like a horror movie. Well, it's not showing there, so obviously I cannot really um, select that, and it's not really detecting that too. So this means that I can switch back to MMK just to create a storage account because there are so many other security services there. But yes, I have to then check that what else I can do to really get this working. Then we can create another storage account and do that, run this again. Okay, guys, so let's take a break and then I'm going to switch back to, we have talked about a lot of the security terminology there. I'm going to switch back to this, but the key vault we will still be using in some other, uh, you know, features. There are many storage features, security for the storage. There are many features there that needs key vault later as well. So it's good that we create a key vault with a key. We can use it later as well. I'm just going to switch to this MMK. That's it. So and then this operation can be changed. Oh, then I will have to enable this enable infrastructure encryption as well. At least we got something. So, but I have to just check that. I'll come up with the lab or Google it. That why is it not appearing there? Key. Okay. But yes, one reason is that I created the key vault, and after that I reconfigured the storage account again. Anyway, so this is done. I'm just gonna click next. Tags is also there. Then this review. And finally, we are about to create our storage account. It's because of the security related configurations that does that kind of time. Like you and let's click create. And then while it is creating, let's take a break and come back. So that would be break. Class starts uh, 12, 18, 12, 38 then. Okay, pausing and loading. All right, guys, so excuse me. Yeah, we're continuing, and that was kind of interesting to go through some of the security related uh, configurations and terminology. So let's get going, and I'm gonna go ahead and deployment failed. Seriously, are you kidding me? What happened here? We were creating a storage account, but yes, we kept on making a lot of changes, and then there are some conflicts here. So we have selected some options here, and oh, point in time restore is not supported for this for the account. Feature not supported for account. Oh, uh, it could be that we have Canada Central, and it may not be available in Canada Central. But it says actually the conflict. So feature not supported for account. So if we go for East US and then do that, maybe it will support. All the good features are in US, and some of the features are not available in Canada. So okay, but if anyone was creating that, so did you also had that same error or not? So let me know that if you're not following. Okay, so deployment failed. It says here, yeah, pretty much the same thing. Not supported for the account code feature not supported. Raw error is this. At least one resource deployment operation failed. Please list deployment operations for details. Please see. For usage details, feature not supported. That's it. Feature not supported. Okay. If I go to operation details, that's the same thing. And storage account. So storage account is created. I'm gonna go to this full menu and then go down to storage accounts. Storage account is created. It's just saying that feature of the restore point in time restore is not supported. Right. So I'm going to go inside the storage account which we have created and go through some of the uh, other security features we have here. Now, if I go to overview, yes, one thing that we need is just an application, so we could go to the some of the access keys and shared access signature feature and encryption. So I'm going to go ahead and download this Open in Explorer account. So you can download Azure Storage Explorer if you do not have it. I have it, but I want the new ESC version. So I'm just going to click that and download it because Azure Storage Explorer with this app, I can try to um, show how to connect security to an application. It's supposed to let me try Azure for free when context is Azure Storage Explorer, free tool to conveniently manage Azure Storage Explorer, resources, Azure Storage Explorer. But I want to operating system, okay. Turning Windows, so we need to select that. When we are on this page, this is the button here that we need to select. Windows, and then yeah, it starts Storage Explorer XZ. I've installed it before as well, downloaded it before as well, so it's saying one. Save, and then it's downloading now, and then I'll just open it and install it in my machine. Oh, link. Okay, so link is this download Azure, download free Azure Storage Explorer, with which we can connect to Azure Storage account. You can connect to Azure Storage account, and okay. So I have downloaded it. I'll just double click and start the installation. And I accept the agreement, install, installing, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so, well, it's installing. And okay, so launch Microsoft Azure Storage Explorer. I'm just gonna click Finito here. And it's gonna install now. Once the Storage Explorer is installed, we're gonna connect to that. So connecting and then using the security features, then we can really explain the concepts of those security features. Though these were the part of AZ-104 as well, but just making it a part of this course as well. But not all features we're going to explore now. We're going to only go for security features and go ahead with networking then. Let us know what you think, dismiss. Okay, so it is installed and I need to just simply make a connection to that storage account. So for that, I'm going to go to this user sign here. Once the Storage Explorer is open, and click it and sign in with Azure. Just click that. And yeah, you want to sign into Azure? Yes. So Azure is selected. Click next. And then it is asking, who are you? You. I'm gonna go for that Jalebi account. Oh, I ran it. Okay, so I'll just grab it from my slide here, and man, need to copy it. So I'll go for full count at CEAJALAY 04 dot on Microsoft.com. So I could just copy always this account. So I'll just switch to this and go ahead next and the class passwords and then the code 7908 enter. Authenticated, you can return to Storage Explorer. You might need to authenticate again if you close this browser tab. So I'll just not close this browser tab and go to the Storage Explorer, which is these. And it is logged in now to my storage account with this username. And once it is logged in, I need to click the next button, which is Open XO and RUR. Once we click the Open Explorer, then we go drop down here to all the storage accounts related stuff. And I'm expanding that and block containers, file shares, queues, and tables. So we have gone through this in AZ-104 as well. but it's also objective of Azure security but it's obviously just the security side of it. So let's try to go ahead um, and so for Explorer we have already installed. Yeah. Okay. Now, once the Storage Explorer is installed, I'm coming back to my storage account here, and security features there are that we need to go for. So there's activity log, there is tags, well, diagnose and solve problems, access control, well, that's authorization. So you can go for role assignments and then go for so it has shared a picture that is still uploading uh, on my on my WhatsApp for web. Okay. Yeah, so let me, yes, you are connected, and default directory attach a resource. Well, yeah, no subscriptions found. Like the subscription has to be there, and I think that you may have created a new account, but you didn't create a subscription, which means you haven't connected a. Um, so yeah, this is the error coming to Naveed, and it says no subscriptions found here, right? So you have to attach a credit card to the subscription, so you can actually use this whole site. Now, if you were able to go through the wizard, that is also strange. So it is a pay and easy go. Yeah, you have to check the subscription, Naveed. So suppose I right click and duplicate tab here, and then go to search and go to subscription like Aziz. So if you go there, search and subs, that subscriptions yellow key, and just check subscription, that is it active, right? And go inside and check what's going on here. If it's not active, then click the add button and follow. Once you click that button, then it will ask to create a subscription. It goes through the process of doing that. But that's strange that say that it's pay as you go, but it still doesn't show that. So yeah, try to do this, and subscription must be status must be active, and subscription ID must be there attached to this particular account that you're creating. If you had previous account and this account, and maybe the new account subscription is not there, previous account there is, so that could be a mix-up. Sign out from every tab, then only log in from this account, and then check if the subscription is there or not. ONK. So first thing in the storage account is IAM, and yes, we can assign. So there is check access of anyone, view my access. You can check access to the level of access a user group or service principal or managed identity has to this resource, right? So managed identity keeps coming here as well. And I've just clicked to learn more here. It says managed group, subscription, resource group, resource, user access. Yeah, this is pretty straightforward. You give access, click add, and just simply select user or group. And if you want to give access to managed identity, which again means that um, is kind of a service account where it manages its own username password. So Azure, how to create a managed identity, rule side, blah blah blah. So there's a website called soti.net. Soti is a kind of a stick in our language. So whoever doesn't is not able to learn fully Azure, then they'd be that person with a stick or sorting. Kidding, just kidding. Sorty is proud to be recognized as a preferred solution on Azure Marketplace. Wow. Okay. With user identity management, I'm just showing that, oh yeah, this is again the same. Is I will add this user identity management lab to this because we must know that how do I create a user defined managed identity, and to create user defined managed identity, your account needs the managed identity contributor role assignment. To create a user assigned managed identity, use the new Azure user identity. Oh, okay. So it says here, to create a user assigned managed identity, your account needs the managed identity contributor role. What we can do is I can create a new account quickly and give that role managed identity contributor. So whenever the managed identity is used, then we can try to go with this rule, right? So I'll just click that. This is where it says. Again, yeah, that's the same page that I shared with you. Visual Studio, create user assigned assigned managed identity. It's not just the role that you need to give, but you will also have to go through the whole creation wizard for create user assigned managed identity. Right? This is something very, very, very important. So I'll just come up with the lab before the next class, and either I'll give you the screenshots or video better. I'll just try to do that in front of you in the lab. This has been system assigned. Yeah, we talked about that before as well, but this is something that we need to do. Okay, I'm back here to the first thing in storage account in terms of security is this. So I'm going to go ahead and click add button here, add role assignment, add co-administrator here who you want to help you with the operations going on their storage account. Otherwise, there are roles, owner, contributor, reader. We talked about that before in AZ-104 as well. So these are for storage, whatever role you want to give to any user, you can give that. So suppose we go for contributor, which is the second, then the owner, which has full access. Uh, Contributor grants full access to manage all resources, but does not allow you to assign roles in Azure RBAC, manage assignments, and Azure Blueprints, or share uh, image galleries, right? So that is something uh, that it does, but do what it does and what it does not do, right? So it's all about that. Contributor, click next, and then again, if you have created a managed identity, you give that. If I click select members after selecting managed identity, so that is something that we have to create in order to give that, but I'm going to go for user group or service principal. So, and select members here, and here I have one or two accounts, so I'm just going to go random with user one, select, you connect some account and you get contributor role. I click next and review plus assign. So the thing is, it's pretty straightforward in terms of access control. Who do you want to give access and who you don't want to give access, or what level of access you want to give. Grant access to resources by assigning a role. View access to this resource. So if I go to add role assignment, this is pretty much the same thing that way we were, and you can see who has role assignments. Contributor role is this user, owner role is this user, right? And then also there is resource group level permissions, subscription level permissions. So suppose this is storage account, right? It's not suppose this is a storage account. You go overview of a storage account. So you see here is a resource group. If you give permission on the resource group level, the user in this resource group, suppose I go to the resource group. Right now I'm now inside. I'm out of the storage account. I'm inside the resource group. So inside the resource group, if I check resources, so there is eVault and there is this storage account. So if I give access to any user on the resource group level, if I go to access control, I am on the resource group level. So, and I add some user there, add role assignment and add some user here to this. So that user will have access to all the resources in this resource group. Now, and then above the resource group, there is also a hierarchy here. There is subscription, the subscription level as well. So if I go to subscription, under the subscription, we have resource groups. Under the subscription, we have billing properties. Under the subscription, we have resources, right? So resources for this subscription are these. Resource group for the subscription are this. Subscription are just this, just a resource group. So if you give access on the subscription level, then you will automatically be part of the resource group as well. And whatever resources are inside the resource group, you will be part of that too. So if you add a user on the subscription level, that user gets added automatically to uh, resource group because this resource group is part of the subscription. And that user gets automatically added to the resources inside the resource group, which is vault that you've created and storage account that we have created. So that user um, becomes a part of, so if I go back to the diagram here, so there is actually what I'm about to, I haven't shown that before, and I'm going to be showing it now. I have just talked about subscription level, right? But above subscription level is also another thing called management group, right? So management group, then comes subscription, and then comes resource groups, and then come, uh, and then comes, but the resources, right? So you want to give someone, and so want to add someone, some user on any level, so that user gets automatically added on the other levels as well. So the higher the level, obviously, then the user gets inherited. So suppose we add a user on this level, uh, the user gets automatically added to all the levels below. So that is something that needs to be understood. Now I have shown, I was adding a user to a resource level. There's a resource group on top of it. Under the resource group are the resources. So if I had added the user here, then user will be added automatically to all the resources there. But if I add the user here on subscription level, it will be added to all the resource groups. Suppose under the subscription there were 20 resource groups, and each resource group had 30 or 50 resources in a big environment. So the user added on this level would be added all the resources. Suppose there were 200 virtual machines here, right, on this level. So the user will have access to all 200 virtual machines, right? And somebody added here, you get the idea then. But I haven't shown that yet. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create a management group. Inside the management group, I'm going to add the subscription that we already have, if it lets me. And then inside the subscription, we already have a resource group and we already have a resources. Right? So the subscription model works this way in Azure. So if I go back here, okay, so here we're talking about now the subscriptions, and then discussion starts with this is another upcoming topic which we already are discussing here, that permissions model in Azure, in Azure, and that permission model is this. Uh, Hopefully, oh thank God, this is still selectable, and that's how it is. And if we go ahead, what I wanted to create was a management group. So if I go back to Azure, so there is a root management group under which we are automatically working. There is automatically created a root management group. We were talking about permissions, but what levels permissions are given? Now we're talking about that. So if I go for another tab here and move that tab here, this here. Okay, so then I go for management, right? There's management group, right? So when we do the management group, so management group, uh, there is a default one called Cloud Engineers Academy or whatever name you want to give it. But there's a default management group under which all subscriptions are living right now. I have just one subscription. In my company, we have 5 or 6 subscriptions. Basically for creating, um, you know, basically for creating billing, separate billing for different products going on. Now, management groups, we can create an extra one just for organization, right? So if I go to the diagram here, we can create a management group just like a hierarchy. Management group, company management group. So suppose we do it ourselves, company-wide, right? And under that, you give subscription one. Suppose you want to have um, a broad subscription, production subscription, right? So you create like that, and then you have another subscription. Remember that credit card connects on the subscription level, right? So subscription, and that is you know, UAT. We call it UAT or test environment, right? Test environment. Because first you test anything and then you put it to production environment, which is the actual business, where actual business is running. First you test any update, then you put it in the production environment. Suppose there are 20 virtual machines here, you will have an exact replica of either 1 or 2 virtual machines here that have exact configuration as the 20 virtual machines here. So then you will test it first here, whatever new updates you're introducing, a new application you're about to install. And then once you go through the test, it's all okay, then you go for production. Then there is also total test environment subscription, and that is total dev. We can say dev, and that's where you can pretty much test everything first without breaking. You can break and fix again, again break, again break, again break. You can do whatever you want, and it should not affect your test environment, which has to be an exact replica of production environment. You don't touch these two environments while you can do whatever you want here, right? So management group company, and then here you can add subscriptions here. You can also go for management group company on the top, then management group prod, and the management group prod you can have a subscription prod one, subscription prod two. Suppose you want multiple credit cards connected there, then you can create multiple management groups as well, or you can just keep on adding subscriptions according to that. And under the subscriptions, then you have resource groups, and those resource groups, so production resource groups should not have then obviously anything from UAT and test. and your dev and test, right? So all resource groups would have their own categories. So and then whatever resources are there. So that's suppose VMs, that's storage accounts, that's databases, right? That's VNets, and lots of other things, right? So all the production resources that you are very careful about, all the test environment resources which you are also keeping exactly maintained like production resources, and then there is dev resources where you can play around and test whatever you want and should not affect anything there. So that's how it is. So when permission is given on this level, so obviously user added suppose with contributor role, uh, here, then the user is actually it user gets added, then user gets added automatically to all subscriptions under this management. So you have to be careful who you are adding and why, right? So I'll try to create one management group here and then go for subscription. There are many other things inside that. Let me say this in the chat. So with reference to this picture, CEO has 3 subscriptions. The company has 3 subscriptions, suppose, or 5 subscriptions, or 10 subscriptions. Maybe they are separating all projects, one project per subscription, and they attach one credit card to one subscription. One credit card can be attached to 3 or 4 subscriptions as well. Yeah, there would be 3 subscriptions. As I said, my company has 6 subscriptions with different projects going on, and billing for those projects we are then tracking through separate subscriptions. Uh, okay, so I'm going to create a management group quickly and then create. So this is also part of the Azure security. That management group is there. So what permissions are there? And then in management group there are many other things also that we will be talking later as well. But when it comes to, we were talking about storage account security right now. But storage account, when we were adding users, so then I was saying that you can add. So we are talking about this level, right? Then I said that storage account. Suppose you add someone on the resource group level, that person will be automatically added to all the storage accounts. Suppose you have here 10 storage accounts, so that person will be added to all 10 storage accounts. Suppose someone's added on this level, will be added to all resource groups and all storage accounts. And suppose someone is added to this level, will be added to all subscriptions, all resource groups, and all resources. There's that picture shared by Reed, and thank you for that. So this is the picture that shows there's a tenant root group here. And then Microsoft has that sample company name, also, and then you can go for platform landing zone is a topic for AZ500 as well. This security. How do you create landing zones? And there's so much inside landing zone that you have blueprints, you have policies, and how do you plan everything and attach what to what. So you can attach. So there's a management groups here, and subscriptions, and then resources there. Subscriptions are these. These are all management. So under root management group, you can create one major management group. Under that management group, there is a platform management group, landing zone management group, decommissioned management group, and sandbox management group. Under the platform management group, you have identity management and connectivity management group, landing zone, SAP, Corp, or online management group, and Contoso decommissioned, whatever is decommissioned under that, discontinued, and sandboxes. your dev environment where you can play around and test applications. And then subscriptions come, and you have one subscription under identity, management, connectivity each. Then under Corp, two subscriptions here, landing zone 1 and 2. What is landing zone? We're going to talk about that and decommission, and then sandbox 1 and 2. Two subscriptions here as well. So that's a good picture sharing. Management group is not a topic that we're talking about now. Right now, we're talking about storage security, but obviously, we will be having a separate big discussion on management groups, as well as blueprints, as well as policies. So it's a pretty huge topic to go for. So we're going to obviously talk about that and just put that here. But this is a separate topic. This is not very much related only to storage security. This is much more bigger than that. Okay, so I'll go ahead a little. Now we get to know that, okay, there's a subscription level, and that's how there's a hierarchy here. Okay, but where did it start? We started talking about it when we were talking about storage account permissions, right? So storage account permissions, if I now go back to this, then we were talking about management group. Now, guys, I was saying that I'm going to create that, but then I realized that, hey, this is a storage account security topic. I mean, this is a totally separate topic, which is upcoming. I mean, that is part of the Az-500 exams, right? So that is something we're going to be. So if I start creating now and add subscriptions, obviously this totally goes away from our storage account discussion. So that is what we need to do. Right now, I'm gonna skip that because I'm deviating from the what we were talking about. I'll just go back to resource groups, which has so I'll just close this. Lots of extra windows that are open right now. We don't need. I'm gonna go back to storage account, and storage account I was talking about. Um, access control, or IAM, identity and access management. There's a URL there as well. Thank you, Louise, for sharing that. And also, I will put it here so you can always access that. But this is a separate topic that with a lot of labs coming about management group, blueprint, policies, and everything else. So I'm just going to go back to what we were talking about, storage account. Let's get back to that. We need to cover those, the security features of storage account as well. One is this, you can all the roles that can be given here. Inside, suppose this is a role, contributor role. You can view the details here as well. There is a clone of that role as well that you can create. Suppose we go for, why would you want to clone a role? Right? So you want to add or remove any features from there. You want all the features of this role, plus you want to add something, and you can create a clone. So if I click the clone here, so the wizard will start. And to create a custom role for Azure resources, fill out some basic information. So Amir dash clone of contribute role. So as an example, suppose we give some information here. It's a clone a role. Baseline permissions is there. Start from scratch. Just start giving all the permissions yourself, or start from JSON file. But suppose you want to actually clone a role, right? So which role you want to clone? I've already just selected contributor. And if I click next, what other options are there other than this? So there are add permissions here. There are exclude permissions here. Add permissions to select the permissions you want to add this custom role. To add a wildcard permission, you must manually add the permission on the JSON tab. To exclude specific permissions from a wildcard permission, click exclude permission. So what we're talking about is You want everything that contributor role offers, plus you want to add some more stuff or exclude some stuff from there. Just few of the permissions of that role and then some of your own added permissions, right? I go add permissions here. This then becomes very, very big because this is pretty much all the services of Azure, and whichever service permission you want to give this role and then that role be given to some users. You can do that here. Pretty much all the services that are there. And suppose I'm giving storage account contributor role permissions. When I'm talking about permissions, so what does contributor role has in terms of permissions? So I'm just going to quickly duplicate this tab and go away from this role. Close. And I was on storage accounts. This is a storage account, and then access control, IAM, and then roles, right? That's where I was. And there's a contributor here. I'm just going to click view. Once I click view here, so what are the permissions for the contributor role? So you can read that and read. Oh, it can do this, that, this, and that's a pretty long list you can see from here. Keeps on going. So that's all the collection of tasks a contributor role holder can do, right? Implement. So these are all the permissions. The JSON format is this for the contributor role holder, sub authorization, star delete, star write, elevate access action, and then talk about blueprint assignments, write, delete, gallery. So this pretty much, covers what was here separately shown, and then so then assignments that who needs to be assigned this role. So I now from reading this, I know that there are so many permissions given to this guy. There are 13,892 permissions here. Are you kidding me? Okay. So this we already know that these are the permissions that already are there. And apart from this, if I go back here, so I'm saying that own this whole role which already has so much permissions, and then I'm going to give some more permissions from here, right? So if you want to give that, then maybe virtual and if I press enter here, there's nothing virtual. So I'm just going to select from here then that within Azure Active Directory, what else I can give, and read virtual network, the Azure Stack permissions. If I go resource providers here again, then I'll click add permissions, and from whichever service I want to give. So suppose I want to give again from Azure Active Directory. So which extra role you want to give? Oh, I want that person to read diagnostic settings of Azure Active Directory and read diagnostic settings of Microsoft AADIM diagnostic. So it's kind of same thing. You can go uh, and check whatever else you want to give this. So then we create a new role by. So I'm just going to click add permission. So some of those permissions are also added here. If I want to still go for some more permissions, then I'll just keep on checking here. Authorization, Microsoft Azure Active Directory synchronize on premises. There are so many things that we can give. Monitoring, suppose I click monitoring. Okay, he should read monitoring accounts and read monitoring account private endpoint connections. So I keep on giving more permissions to this guy, right? And then click next. at least one of the assignable scopes in a resource scope, consider replacing it with a subscription or resource scope to prevent exhausting your custom role limit. Um, so it just says that assignable scopes, on what level you're giving this. So if I click that, there is on management group level you're giving this, or subscription level you're giving this. This role will have this role permissions will work on what level. So we can give some kind of level here and search for a scope. So Azure subscription is this, right? And subscription is this. So if I select that, so we are giving that on higher level, this user has permissions of contributor clone role. So next, and then there's a JSON format for what we have selected, and next, and there's review plus create. So what we have done is that we can create, we have successfully created the custom role on a clone of contributor role. Okay. And when I go back here, if I type on it, there's that role that we created by cloning an existing role. Okay. So that is how we can just clone another role and add or remove permissions. If I go for deny assignments, so there is deny assignments block users from performing specific actions. Yes, we can do that. Just add a user and just click that button and add a user, and then that user will be blocked from doing anything here. Basic administrators is the older console which we don't use anymore. Now, if we go for more security policy, data migration is not related to security; it's just migration events. For security, obviously, you need to check events and go for some of the features like logic apps, Azure function, Azure Data Explorer. There is logic apps here. A logic app to respond to events and orchestrate integration with other services. So this is just saying that one or two applications or three or four applications can connect with each other, and then um, you know uh, do something automatic, right? So when a new blob is uploaded, so suppose a new file is uploaded, set a time to live on that blob so that it is automatically deleted after a certain amount of time. So when you upload a file, this logic app will make sure that whatever time you give, so suppose you say that for 1 week only, so it will check that when the file is uploaded after 1 week, it will delete that. So there are some tasks that they show that you can automatically do. Again, not really related to security. So storage browser, we already downloaded that. If we go to containers, and in the containers, I'm going to click the container here, and then on the container level, what kind of security is there, right? So suppose there is sales, okay, not be capital, sales, DEPT, sales department, and there's a private or public level access. No, it's private or no anonymous access. Blob, anonymous read access for blobs only. So anyone without authorization, authentication can connect to uh, this container. And container anonymous read access for containers and blobs. So first of all, it was anonymous read access for blobs. This means that within this container sales department, you're giving anyone access uh, without, and that person doesn't have to really prove his or her authentication, just giving anonymous access to on the container level. But here it says container anonymous read access for containers. So this means that suppose you create here 20 more containers, not just folders where you can upload files and folders. So um, you can give anonymous access on many containers. Here, just one container. Here, no one you can access. So private access, and then if we click advanced here, encryption scope. So do you want to encrypt that as well? Select from existing account scope. So there is no scope. Use this encryption scope for all blobs in the container. Enable version level immutability. So the encryption scope is not showing here yet. We haven't really configured properly the whole encryption. So Microsoft is handling this means. called encryption. Also, if you if versioning is enabled, and if you upload a file and its previous versions are there, the previous versions will be mutable, which means that you cannot delete, cannot modify. I'll click create a container, sales department, go inside that container. So it says here that do not permissions to list the data using your user account with Azure AD. Click to learn more about authenticating with Azure AD. This request is not authorized to perform. This request is not authorized to perform this operation using this permission. So it says that. So I am administrator, but it says that you still have to get authorization from Active Directory. Why is it saying that? Remember that we clicked that account that this storage account will be. We clicked that feature. It was saying that any user has to get authorization from Azure Active Directory to access this storage account, right? So saying that, hey, whoever you are connecting here, why don't you just get access from storage account, Active Directory? Although I'm an administrator, I keep saying that although I'm an administrator, the thing is that it's just giving this step again. Uh, it's just so I'm gonna use this. Authentication method is Azure AD user account. Switch to access key. This is that if you want to really make changes there, why don't you switch to access key method, which is that if you have the access key, you can connect and your authorization, you don't have to prove that you have authorization from Active Directory. If I click that switch to access key, I can always switch to Azure AD user account method of first I need to get authenticated, and then I need to connect to Azure Active Directory. So there are show deleted blobs here. Remember that we enabled soft delete. So suppose now I'm going to upload some files. In fact, I can upload files from this storage explorer as well. And if I go to blob containers and expand, now there should be that container that I created, sales department. It is there. And then there's upload here as well, and upload files. I'll just go for something random. Wow, it's not that cold outside. The heaters in the apartment are no files. What to happen? Okay. So I'm trying to up to and load some files. I think it's getting to silo. Oh, man. This is shock. Hmm. Okay, I think I have to close the program. So I close the Storage Explorer. I'll click here again and I'll check where is the Storage Explorer installed. So I could start it again. Click search and storage. Okay, there it is. Microsoft Azure Storage Explorer. Open again. Not sure what it is thinking. And one day, Monday or Sunday, it's gonna open. First thing. Right. So I'll try to upload the file again, and this time I'll just try to select right away. Um, Storage account is this, and the container should be here. Top containers, and then there's our sales department container, and then there's the upload files, and go for. I was gonna change that, but let me just upload some file here and queue transfer from this. This is the file and going to sales department. Started at this time and day and date. And it should open soon because it is not a very, very big file. And okay, something seriously wrong. I mean, slow, really, really slow. Maybe I'll go for something smaller, much, much smaller. Observe.xd. Oh, bam. Okay. In AWS, we use that private key file to get administrator password. So the transfer. Wow, nothing gets uploaded. Seriously. Hmm. So refresh. Okay, there's a refresh. So still waiting for. Wow, man, this is strange. Okay, I'll go to another folder or container and then come back to this container. At least one file should be uploaded. Okay, anyway, it's still uploading. It's thinking. Um, and maybe there is some kind of okay. So now it is starting 28%. You know, it's the XZ file. XZ files are always oh no, this is MSI file. So this should be secure because .exe is something that goes through the security scan and then it takes time. And some many times it's rejected because exe file hackers use to execute something. So, but oh, this is just 9 MB and it's taking forever to upload that. Maybe I can cancel and upload the other one. Okay, the other one is very small file. So it's transferred. Okay. So this is hot here right now, and this is the file. Um, Once it is uploaded here, so refresh and switch the. Okay. So this file is uploaded here. Um, there is show deleted blobs here. So obviously, when you delete a file, this should then show there as well. Also, um, you can go for file level security generate SAS. Suppose you want to share this file with others, then or view its older versions. Suppose you uploaded, changed, you made some changes and uploaded it, and then you made changes and uploaded it again. So other versions will be also showing there. But it's all about security right now. So generate SAS or access policy. So generate SAS. If I click that for this file, if you want it to be shared with others, but you want this file to be expired. So its sharing will be expired after this amount of time. So 3, 4, 2023, 3, 4, 141 to 941. So nearly 8 hours have been given here for the expiry of the file, and which IP address you want the user to connect to this file and use this file. And is it going to be just HTTPS only that the user can use this protocol to connect to the file, which is secure? And there's key that's going to be used, so the user has to be given that key connect to this file. So there are read permissions, or the user can actually read, add, create, write, delete, permanent delete, tags, and immutable storage. So what you want to do with this file, and then there's storage access policy, which is right now not there, but we're going to be creating that. So in order to share the file, you can create all this and then let the user see the file or share the file, right? If I can go for another upload here and browse file, drag and drop, storage explorer, add files, show files, something that is readable. So MS Intune stuff. Okay. Now there MS Intune stuff. So once this is uploaded, then you want to share it with the others, right? So you need to generate a SAS file or SAS configurations there, which is shared access signature. The access is shared. This means multiple users are sharing this and accessing to it. So there's a signature there that, hey, you guys, if you want to really work on that file and you want me to share it, then I'm sharing it for 9 hours or 8 hours only, and I'm making it read only, or I can let you modify this file as well, but you cannot delete this file or anything else. Other than that, there's a key that is used. This key is regenerated or changed, you cannot access this file. So all those things. Also from a specific IP you can connect if you want to add that IP. I've shown you before as well. I'm just going to click that generate SAS token URL. Then that token is blob SAS URL is generated. So I can click from here. There's a copy here, and what does it? Let me see. And okay, so I have this, and it actually downloaded the file. Like seriously, whatever I was saying about security, actually downloaded the file. Okay, sorry. Um, hope it's not something like that. Oh yeah, it's just Intune stuff. How to deploy applications and how to set up Intune basically. Okay, so actually let me download the file. Then how would the permissions be implemented if this file is downloaded? Obviously, this file is supposed to be accessed online instead of download, because once I download it, it's in my PC, right? So, um, okay, it's in my PC. So how the permissions are connected? I mean, if it's online, then the permissions are there. Or as soon as I open that, it says enable editing. And if I click enable editing, but that's in every Microsoft file, right? So can I make modification? Yes. Obviously, that's what I allowed there, but how would it expire my access to that? It's now under my control. So you want to save? Yeah, save. Obviously, if I had made it read only, then maybe I can check. But this URL is okay. Let me try this URL somewhere else in Edge browser. I think it's gonna do the same. It's okay. In Edge browser, it has opened the file. and we've opened your file for a quick and easy view, right? And choose download file if you want to. So if I just not allowed to download, then yes, it could be secure. But right now, if I'm downloading, then how are those? So suppose I go for hey read only, and now because I did that, I have to generate the SAS token again. I generate the SAS token and then copy this whole uh, link. Now I have new permissions, so I create a new SAS token, and with that new URL, it's opening with those kind of permissions that it's just read only. So more immersive permissions, more restrictive permissions can be implemented through information IP. So there's information protocol that Azure Information Protocol. With that, you can put huge amount of restrictions on documents. You cannot print, you cannot save, you cannot share, you cannot download. It's read only. Now, with new set of permissions where modification is not allowed, I put that and then share. But there's still a download file option showing here, which we can scratch our head that how can we make sure that it's read only. I've downloaded the file and it's supposed to be read-only as per the SAS permissions are saying. But if I just make any modification, Control S, yes, I can save those configurations. So it's not that secure in terms of showing a document. So I'm just gonna move back again. It's not even opening. Although I said that, hey, it's read only from now on. There's a download. If I can edit that, you can open only online. Then if I can get those permissions, then it makes sense. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense. How is it so secure if we can download it? Then the permissions are still there. Okay. So user delegation, generate SAS, grants access to Azure storage blob, wants to access storage and account resources for a specific time range. It does say that it's not exact file. Use it when you want to grant access to storage account resources for specific range. So it's not exactly about file. It's about when you access this area container. Right? So how long do you have access to this container after that it expires? And where can you set this up? Suppose you let some user connect through Storage Explorer and sales document. Now I'm connecting to sales department container from Storage Explorer. So from here, how long do I have access and when does the whole access expire? Or when do my access expire for this particular document? So the area access, it has to be online, right? Something you download, then there's no permission involved. So whatever is online is where the permissions are involved, right? So that's what it says here. That the SAS is this file is available in this container for this much time. Whoever is accessing from outside online container. Well, guys, we will be still exploring a lot of other options, access policy and properties. Then we're gonna go for some more storage account security options. I was planning to just finish the storage account today, but there were some, topics there that needed more attention. So access keys we're going to talk about, and SAS and encryption and Microsoft Defender for Cloud. Redundancy, yes, that's high availability. Data protection, we already talked about. So just the security side of it, it should be finished next in next class. And then we're going to switch to networking and check all the security features, and especially Bastion and privately accessing VNets and subnets, private links. What are those, right? We're gonna go for that. So, but we need to explore a lot of other features as well. So, okay, see you. If there's a question, let me know. Otherwise, see you next week. Have a nice weekend. And If you're at home, you have a house, then have the time shoveling the snow. Okay, so bye bye. You. So I need to delete the whole thing as well. So resource group, delete resource group.